How you doing, YouTube? Matt Messa Beer Reviews back with It Was Gonna Happen. You know it was gonna fucking happen. I had to make it happen. And I did make it happen with help from friends in the form of Genesee Cream Ale. Oh no, it is Genesee Dream Ale, a collaboration with Other Half Brewing. Yeah, this shit was announced. Not only did my wiener definitely get almost full staff hard on this one, because I was just, this is like, you know, my jam, you know. I'm an Other Half fan. No shit, Sherlock. Who isn't? When they first came out, I quite liked their beers. There was a little bit of a lull for me, but as of late, they've been really crushing it from the hazy department. I mean, you know, they great stouts, the whole nine. Genesee Cream Ale is my favorite crusher of all time. So it's only natural with Other Half actually buying the old Nedlow facility, which is hop, skip, and a jump away from the Rochester home base of Genesee, that they would do a collaboration. The fact that they did the cream ale with a kind of Other Half oated and hopped edition is just hopefully a dream ale come true. Yeah, what does it say in this can? It says Genesee Dream Ale, Genesee and Other Half. Brewed Genesee Brew Company, Rochester, New York, Genesee beer. And that be that. Here's a little weird thing for you. I actually did a little bit of research on this. And I know that's kind of weird for you guys, but it happens. This is can 318. Today is the 4th of April, so this is probably getting right in its stride. So as far as I know, and I take this from information from my friends, my buddy George is the one who got this for me. He got this off as one of his friends, Waldo. I do not know Waldo, but if you watch this, Waldo, thank you very much, brother, for hooking my buddy up, George, so I can actually review this. But from what I understand, they were kind of brought together by a journalist up that way. I forget his name, and they kind of combined together, and they said, we have to do, you know, a collaboration. And I guess the most organic one that came out of it was their dry hopped version, or their Other Half version of cream ale. They've done dry hopped version, more hopped up versions of cream ales before. You've seen me do the one they packed in their multi-pack. You've seen the one I did in crowler form, given to me by one of my buddies. So it was just kind of made sense. And like I said, from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rochester, is that this is basically the OG cream ale recipe, which oddly enough is not, as far as I know, there's a lot of hearsay going on. As far as I know, and this came from brewers, just not from, you know, internets, is that the OG cream ale is not really made anymore. They do a blend of two of their, I think it's workhorse beers is what it's called. They blend two beers together. That is the OG cream ale. So this is apparently the OG cream ale recipe with an oated and hop Other Half addition to it. So we'll see what happens. Enough talking. Let's crack into this sucker. I didn't even talk about the label yet. I gotta talk about this fucking label, because good God, whew, I got some nice pop of like kind of sticky hops off that. Not something you really expect all that much from Other Half. You usually talk about that kind of drop out all bitterness stuff. So there's a bit of green floating around in there. But as far as labels go, I mean, come on now. You got quintessential classic Genesee cream ale styling with that beautiful kind of soft, fluffy cloud Other Half bits and pieces floating around, which kind of translates over here to the beer. It has kind of the color of what you'd expect from Genesee Cream Ale, but it has that haze that you expect from Other Half. And what we're left with headwise is about a pinky of standing still, a little bit of rockiness, a little bit of creaminess, a little bit of soapiness, all bits and pieces of things going on, kind of head on top of that. So she definitely looks the part of a hazy, a bit of particulate floating around in there. Kind of odd. This can has been sitting upright for, God, 2 days, 3 days or so. So yeah, don't usually see a bit of particulate kind of floating around in Other Half beers, but like I said, this could be the OG cream ale edition, or OG cream ale with the Other Half kind of oated and kind of whatever edition. So maybe not fully their thing. Anyway, let's get a nose. I mean, it's soft citrus vibes, soft green vibes, a little bit of muddiness, maybe even a little bit, a touch of diacetyl in there. It doesn't give me really much as far as cream ale goes, to be perfectly honest with you, because cream ale comes off, even though it comes off more adjunct lager than it does kind of super high-end kind of hazy beer. And really all the bits and pieces that people know and love in today's beer world that kind of turn them on when it comes to the hazy side of the world are such robust flavors that are going to overpower all those bits and pieces of cream ale. So yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of icky sticky, a bit of citrus, And maybe even a little bit of soft oaty vibes in there too. But yeah, the other half kind of influence is leading the way in this one, without a doubt. But we still have the taste to dive into. So let's see if we get a little bit of reminiscence, a little bit of an echo of that cream ale. Cheers. Yeah, it's not that I expected it. Not that I expected it, nor did I want this to mimic cream ale to a T. But there is a hint of it floating around on the inside, and it's all about that grain bill. Really nice, soft, sultry mouthfeel. There's a cream ale vibe to it in that sense. Because not necessarily our cream ale super creamy, but there's this softness to it that I dig. It's a bit amplified here, a bit bigger. The oats lend to that. But it has this nice soft creaminess to it. Now, when you come to that malt bill, you're talking about like a soft graininess. This comes off a little bit closer to like a cereal grain. Like think non-sweetened, I shouldn't say non-sweetened, adjunct. There you go, adjunct cereal. Think of those sweetened grains in general. Don't think of like fruitness or Fruity Pebbles or Cocoa Pebbles. Think about, you know, if you're Captain Crunch, but you ate just the crunch part, none of the berries or any of that kind of stuff. Those kind of sweetened cereal grains. That's kind of what you're getting in here. Now, inside of that, you get that soft kind of graininess that you would typically get from a cream ale. That comes off a little bit more kind of syrupy hard candy in cream ale, just because of the way the beer is. But there is a bridge there. There's enough there to kind of be like, okay, there's the soul of a cream ale kind of floating around in there. As far as everything else, you're just leaning heavily on the hops now, and you're getting a big pop of bitterness, a nice kind of icky, sticky component. But it's not big. It's big for the beer. I think this is, I don't know if there's an ABV on here actually, but I'm pretty sure this has got to be low in ABV. I'm guessing based off the taste. I actually didn't look that up, but I'm guessing it has to be floating right around 6, maybe a little bit less, a little bit more. But you're getting a nice bitterness. It's not super distinct. There's that icky, sticky side of it, but it's not over your face, over the top, in your face, kind of weed marijuana kind of icky sticky, but it's kind of floating there. It's more of kind of bittering sharpness. And there's a fruit thing in there. There's a soft like melon vibe. I went citrus on the nose, but there's this background, this soft melon vibe, and there is a soft touch of diacetyl floating around there. A little bit of buttery vibe, just slightly kind of floating around the edges there. Not nearly enough to kind of turn me off or make me go crazy in one direction saying this is an off beer, but it's definitely in there. I'm not going to harp on it. It's not impeding the taste of the beer really all that much. It's kind of floating on the edge, and it's worth mentioning. But I think it's a fun beer. Listen, I'm going to go into this beer infinitely biased. I mean, you know, I dig Other Half. I love Jenny Cream Ale. The marrying of the two is just something that I thought would never happen in my life, but also something I hope would happen. This is the beer that I didn't know I needed that ended up. How's that go? This is like the second time I'm saying this in a review. It's not the beer we needed. Not the beer we wanted. It's the beer we needed, for a couple different ways. It's fun. It just makes sense. It's taking two loves, especially in the Rochester area, with Other Half going there and growing so big and being kind of the focal point of that area to grow for beer, to kind of hooking up and connecting with one of the mainstays of the area. Listen, Jenny, a lot of people that aren't from the Rochester area might kind of look at it as like the bush, the mill, like the butt of the area, and there's a little bit of, okay, that makes sense. But there's a lot more love for Genesee than a lot of people realize, especially when you get to the locals. And it's not so much just a beer swilling, let's chug everything we can. Don't get me wrong. That upper area, Rochester, loves to do that shit. But they've always made interesting stuff. They've always made really kind of cool stuff. If you stop at the brewery, they're making, you know, stouts and porters and barrel aged stuff like this. So it's just not pseudo crazy local, hyper localized adjunct lager. So to see them come together is awesome like that. And honestly, like I said, the second it came out, I always wanted to try it, or I wanted to try it always. 2 weeks, always. But yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's great. I think it's probably one of my favorite collabs I've ever had in my life. But I am totally biased. Let's break it to the brass tacks. Is this one of the better? Because this is not even a cream ale. This is just like, sure, extra hop cream ale. I don't know. What do you want me to say? Is this one of the better extra hop, lower ABV kind of pale ales IPAs of has late? It's gonna be in there. It's definitely not gonna be towards this hop, but it's worthy of conversation. Is that me being a little bit biased? It could be, but let's put it this way: the extra hopped Jenny cream ale that I had crowler wise from my buddy Joel, I actually like better than this. But I'm not trying to judge this on anything in particular, just I'm trying to enjoy it, and I am enjoying it. Value and availability, it sold out like crazy, and it was, I don't think the prices were kind of crazy on this, to be honest with you, and leave you with, if you like what you like this. If you like today's beer, in today's beer world, but you also like the past, and you're totally on board with stripping all pretension and letting both worlds coexist at the same time. And I think that's probably the best lesson of this beer, is that it's okay to like Jenny Cream Ale, and it's okay to like other half, and it's okay to like them together. It's even better to love them all. So, you know what I mean? This, a lot of people who are into beer kind of harp on other people and their choices. There's tons of people who chug just 30 racks of Jenny Screamers who make fun of other half and vice versa. And this is the Seinfeld black and white cookie. Looked at a cookie, looked at a beer, because it's fun beer. I dig it. Done and done. So there you go. Another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers if you want to check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massive if you want to check me out doing the whole podcasting thing. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully enjoying a little bit of old and new world collaboration right now. Hope to see you next time. Cheers.